You are listening to the Postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and, of course, the Glebe Central Pub. I'm your host, Brandon Piller. Lalim's Martian still waiting for his laptop to finish updating. The Commodore 64 is on dial-up internet, apparently, but we'll get the Martian on the show here at Lalim's Martian on Twitter. You guys already know he is merely a conduit of the streets, so don't expect too much from the guy, but you can expect a lot from the Ottawa Senators this weekend. Back-to-back wins, baby. We're vibing on the Postcast as the Ottawa Senators beat the Edmonton Oilers 5-3 at home at the Canadian Tire Center. It was just what the doctor ordered. Dr. Chow, that is, as Dr. Chow was honored and is the third member of the Ring of Honor at the Ottawa Senators arena at the Canadian Tire Center. And they put a nice game forward for Dr. Chow getting into the Ring of Honor here, as usually the Oilers come in and it's the Connor McDavid show, it's the Leon Draisaitl show, and usually they just feast and rack up the point totals when they are up against the Ottawa Senators. Whether it's at the Canadian Tire Center or not, it seems like the Oilers always have the Ottawa Senators number. But we saw something unusual for the Ottawa Senators tonight. Well, heck, we saw a lot of unusual things for the Ottawa Senators tonight. A victory, that's unusual for the Sens, let alone back-to-back victories. But speaking of back-to-back, Eunice Korpisalo, starting back-to-back games for the first time since February 2021. And our guy, Alex Adams, friend of the show, he said, Jacques Martin said he decided to play Korpisalo because he wasn't overly busy in last night's game. He also said that Forsberg wasn't in the right place to start tonight. So not exactly sure what that means when he's referring to Forsberg, but hey, Korpisalo comes in here. He's getting paid the big bucks. Sure, this team is well out of the playoffs here, but if you're getting paid the big money and they're going to rely on you, you got to be ready to go. And Korpisalo was ready to go. And yeah, just like Nick Spence says, he was very busy tonight, and he did a good job with multiple highlight reel saves, especially that massive save in the first period where Carrick has the backdoor chance. Corpy gets a pad on it. Then Connor Brown's right there for the rebound. Talk about a guy being snake bitten for goals this season. Connor Brown with only one goal. And that's one you got to have if you're Connor Brown. But Korpisalo gets that pad up a little bit there. No help from the defense on that one. But this is one of those opportunities where Korpisalo, he is known for being able to make those athletic saves when he needs to. He's down and out there, but he still makes a really nice save. So, you know what? We've been hard on Korpisalo this year, rightfully so, in my opinion, one of the worst goalies in the league. But he was great tonight. And this is the second game where the Ottawa Senators are not on the wrong side of the goalie battle. As Calvin Pickard here, not a great game for him. 11 out of 15 shots stopped. Good for a .733 save percentage. That sounds a lot like an Ottawa Senators goalie save percentage, but not tonight, as the Ottawa Senators get the 5-3 win. And there was a lot of interesting notes for this game. And I think, look, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention there was a big milestone hit tonight, a nice even number of 50. You guys know, of course, I'm talking about Tim Stützle getting his 50th assist tonight on Drake Batherson's goal. All jokes aside, Zach Hyman getting 50 goals tonight is actually pretty incredible. For a guy like that to be able to pop 50, that's very impressive. Even when you're playing with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, 50 goals is 50 goals. He's the seventh player to do that in Edmonton Oilers franchise history. The Ottawa Senators don't even have close to 7 guys that have scored 50 goals. So still a really great milestone for Zach Hyman. So shout out to him. But the Ottawa Senators get the last laugh here, as that was a goal that ultimately doesn't play a big impact on this game, because the Ottawa Senators, who usually are the ones that we're looking at the score sheet and it's saying, okay, 4 unanswered goals for the opponent. Well, the Ottawa Senators this time have 4 unanswered goals up against the Edmonton Oilers. Really, refreshing. And yes, the Overmaster says, who even has scored 50 for the Sens? Heatley and who? Heatley and Heatley. The Overmaster is the answer for the Ottawa Senators, as he did it in back-to-back years. So that shows you how impressive it is for Zach Hyman to get on that list. And let's go through the goals here as we're still awaiting Liam's Martian. Hopefully the spaceship lands here and he gets the internet going. But I don't mind doing solo shows. I've been getting used to that. And thank you to everyone. 207 people in the chat here. Man, we are so used to doing the tank casts and venting here, but we're straight vibing here as the Ottawa Senators have back-to-back victories. I know it's not great for the tank, and maybe this is one where you'd like the Oilers to pull through right at the very end so you can say, hey, it was a good game, some nice highlights, but the Ottawa Senators improved their draft position. But as Sens fans, I'm not about to sit here and complain about a win. We're just going to take it and we're just going to go with it because wins are wins. And there was a lot of highlight reel plays. And I can't believe I'm 8.5 minutes in to this postcast and I haven't mentioned some of the massive plays by some Ottawa Senators players. Drake Batherson was absolutely crispy tonight with 2 amazing sauce passes to Chychrun. Where's Chicky? He found him on the power play for 2 nice goals. And another rare thing for the Ottawa Senators is the power play was clicking. 3 for 4, good for 75%. Now, the Edmonton Oilers go 2 for 3, but if you can outmatch the Edmonton Oilers when it comes to power play and special teams, you've put yourself in a pretty good position here. And that's what you like to see if you're a fan of the Ottawa Senators, whose power play has struggled all season long. The special teams and goaltending has not been great for the Ottawa Senators for most of the season, but it was pretty good tonight. And what better time to get our friend, Liam's Martian, here to talk about this. Martian, buddy, everyone was concerned that maybe your internet wasn't working. You're on the old Commodore 64 there, trying to get things booted up. We're glad to have you here. And how you doing in Florida, buddy?
Yeah, Florida's going great, Pilsy. Thanks for having me on. Apologies for being a little bit late here. I had an unforeseen event where my computer needed to do a full restart and update. I do use my work computer for the postcast. A little Sunday at 9 o'clock update automatically. I had been deferring it for weeks, as one does, procrastinating, and sure enough, it forced me into it at the worst time. So bearing with me. Thank you very much, Pilsy. I'm 10 minutes late into the postcast here, but very nice little W. I'm sure you already broke it down pretty well for the folks here, but nice W for the Sens against a great team in the Edmonton Oilers here.
Yep, absolutely. Don't worry, Martian. Pilsy preaching patience. It's what I do. I'll wait up for you. And
we appreciate your patience, buddy. Yeah, sorry about
absolutely. That. The chat is going nuts. We got 225 people here. We're all fired up about this 5-3 Sens win over the Edmonton Oilers. And Martian, I think this is going to be a fun postcast, vibecast to do Sens Central standouts because there was a lot of players that really popped off this game. I already talked about Korpisalo, how finally as a hashtag goalie friendly show, we can kind of give him his flowers here.
Yep.
I already talked about Drake Batherson with a beautiful 3-point night. Chychrun finally getting it going. Sure, defensively still a little left to be had there, but offensively he was absolutely clutch on the power play. So you got to love it when guys like that show out.
Yeah, he was due, and we're seeing Thomas Chabot playing quite well over the last few games he's been available for, and it's good for Chychrun to finally get on the board in the same kind of manner there. Getting off to a nice start, a little early in this one for him here, and that was a nice shot, and the same with the second one. So he was shooting the puck well tonight, and that's what we love to see out of Jacob Chychrun. And yeah, you mentioned Batherson. The other guy I'd throw in there is Timmy Stützle, right? He had a 3-point night as well. You would think maybe kind of quietly, but he was dishing the pill well and looking guys off on 2-on-1s and sniping himself. So Timmy with a nice 3-point night there too. So all those guys had a really good one.
Yeah, definitely. It was a good game for a lot of players here, and I already mentioned Tim Stützle with his 50th assist on this one. Lots of nice round numbers here to work with. Martian Chychrun gets his 10th and 11th goal, and that's assisted by Batherson and Tim Stützle. And then later on, Batherson gets his 30th assist and Braychuk gets his 30th assist. So if you're a Sens fan and Sens players, you just want to round out those numbers, shine up the
Yeah.
stats a little bit for the end of the season here.
Yeah, and on both sides of the puck too, Pilsy, because Edmonton had guys with round numbers out there too. Look at Zach Hyman getting his 50th goal of the season out there against the Sens. So yeah, that's kind of a weird one where all these round numbers are popping up, but I guess it's that time of the season.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're the Ottawa Senators, you don't have much else to get excited about. So that is at least a nice little touch there for the Sens. So yeah, lots of great plays all over the ice here. I think we'll head to our sponsors here, and then how about we hit Sens Central standouts on the other side of this? And a Sens Central standout for us every single Sens game and every night on the town when we're in Ottawa is the Glebe Central Pub, of course. You guys already know the Glebe Central Pub. They are the official sponsor of the Locked On Senators Postcast, and we love the Glebe Central Pub because they want to make sure that you guys are getting to Sens games any way that they can. Heck, they're bringing you there themselves. Check it out, GlebeCentralPub.com. The Sens shuttle, round trip, picks you up at the bar, brings you to the game early. Watch the game, have fun, leave the keys at home. Don't worry about calling an Uber because Sue, the bus driver, will be right back there to bring you back to the Glebe Central Pub after the game. $17 round trip. Everybody already knows. Say what up to Sue, the most legendary bus driver in the game. And the most legendary pub in the heart of the Glebe at 779 Bank Street is the Glebe Central Pub because they've got the deal of the century. Hot lunch asks, how much do them vibe cost? The vibes are free at the GCP. So everybody check it out today, guys. The Glebe Central Pub. We love our friends at the GCP in the heart of the Glebe at 779 Bank Street. This episode is also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. This has been a wild March Madness tournament. It's not called March Madness for no good reason. It gets crazy and your bracket is probably long busted, but don't worry about that because with FanDuel, you can bet on every single game of the tournament, regardless of how your bracket's looking. Whether you're betting on the big upset, you're betting on the 1 seed, it's time to go dancing on North America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on point spreads, money lines, over-unders, and you can even pick who's going to win it all. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and bet on college hoops until they cut the nets down. All right, guys, it's another edition of the Postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Brandon Piller, joined by Loleem's Martian down in the Sunshine State, and the sun was shining on the Ottawa Senators this week, Martian. It has been a while. It feels like an eternity since the Sens won back-to-back games, as in like literally no time in between, not just 2 in a row, but also back-to-back regulation wins. I don't know. Like, that seems like forever since that's happened. So classic Ottawa Senators pulling together W's in late March when it means nothing.
Yeah, and I would throw in there as well beating the Edmonton Oilers. I don't remember the last time they beat the Oilers too. I honestly don't. It feels like they've had their number for a few years now, ever since COVID at least. So good for them to get one against the Oilers there as well. So yeah, they're finally getting it together, and that's classic Sens because it's always a little bit too late here because obviously they're out of the playoff hunt. So it's kind of a bit of meaningless victories here. But again, we've been saying this as postcasters. It's a little easier to break it down when the Sens score 5 and get the W than it is if they were losing to the San Jose Sharks in the doldrums of the season. So we'll take it. It's a win-win scenario.
We'll take it.
Even though we're team tank, we'll take it.
Absolutely. Martian, as the guest, I will bestow upon you the honor of picking your first Sens Central standout for this game.
Such a gentleman as always, Pilsy. Appreciate that very much. Yep, I'm gonna go ahead and take what we would call the low-hanging fruit. This fruit right here is actually it's pretty much on the ground and it's ripe and it's ready to eat. It's been washed. It's perfect for me here. So I'm gonna take the easy one, and that's Drake Batherson.
You're making sauce out of that fruit.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to go with it, Pilsy. Right off the hop of this game on that first Jacob Chikrin goal, Drake Batherson throws an absolute UFO about 4 feet into the air, and this thing lands flat, and Jacob Chikrin's able to one-time that thing home. Absolutely beautiful setup on the power play. The defenseman was, I can't remember who it was. He was sprawling out.
Desharnais, I think.
Desharnais, he's lying on his belly, and Drake just pretends he's just one of those little drill posts where he just skips it right over this guy, and it lands nice and flat, like I said, and Chychrun pops that thing home. So that's 1 point for Drake Batherson. He didn't stop there. He gets the great goal as well for himself, zipping through the middle.
Yep.
And he gets fed, and he did not screw around with that thing. He took his time and released that puck beautifully, and it ends up going short side there, top shelf. So great goal from Batherson. Then he picks up another assist there too. 3 shots on goal for the guy. A solid 18:03 on ice. I'm gonna go with Drake Batherson as my first Sun Central standout here.
Yeah, that's a great Sun Central standout, Martian. I would definitely say that he was the top performer of the game. Let us know in the chat, guys. Mark Kastelic had the fire helmet last time. Kind of a out of left field pick. We didn't even consider talking about him, but Brady wanted to give him a shout out for getting in that scrap. So Casty has the helmet tonight. Batherson, Tim Stutzla, Korpisalo. Who's another guy you could put in there? Maybe Brady. He had two assists. He loved to. Chychrun, obviously. Yes.
2 goals for Chychrun, and then the 2 assists for Tkachuk as well. A little bit of an unsung game for him. Multi-point night. We're used to seeing McDavid getting his multi-points against the Sens, which he did again tonight. But the Sens had way more guys with multi-point games than the Oilers. So you can go with any of those guys or Korpisalo, I would say, and you know it can't be a bad pick. And I didn't unfortunately I didn't bring my fire helmet to Florida here, so I can't toss mine on. But you look good there, Pills.
That's all right. Safety first. I'll carry you out of the building, Martian. Don't worry about it.
Thanks, buddy.
So for my first Sun Central standout, look, just like the players like to do with the fire helmet, when you see guys have been down or they haven't really had their luck going for them, you want to boost them up. So I'm going to do just that. Someone we've been very hard on. Again, I feel like rightfully so, but still, when they're bad, we'll let them know they're bad. When they're good, we'll give them their flowers. I'm going to go with JC6, Jacob Chychrun. He gets 2 goals on the power play. Obviously, those goals don't happen without your guy, Drake Batherson, so that you got to give 6 taps to him first, as we did. But if you're passing over to me, I'm one-timing it in with Jacob Chychrun, because a big reason why Sens fans were excited about this guy was his goal-scoring ability, and we got to see it early when he was acquired for the deadline last season. And we got to see it early on this season. He scored 2 goals in the home opener. One of my hot takes was he's going to score 20 this year. He had a career high of 18, and he was on track to do that. However, he's really slowed down recently, but 2 goals tonight, his 10th and 11th, both on the power play, both in the same spot from Drake Batherson. So Jacob Chychrun, my first Sun Central standout, presented by the Glebe Central Pub. Martian, I figure we got enough for 2 each here. So you go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, and my next standout is very similar to my first one. It's another guy with a 3-point night, and it's got to be Timmy Stutzla. And actually, his night tonight he had these almost exact same stat line as my first Sun Central standout. 1 goal, 2 assists for Timmy Stutzla, and his goal was also pretty similar to Drake's goal as well. I would say kind of a lot of speed coming through the offensive zone, and he's on a 2-on-1 in this situation, and he just decides to look. Nice little look-off play and kind of fool the defenseman, and then kind of sell that to the goalie as well, and then he ends up just shooting that thing in the back of the net. So that's
which Timmy never does. That's probably why the goalie and the defenseman weren't ready for it. They're like, "What? We checked the game notes. This guy forces a pass on a 2-on-1."
Yeah, and he had a lot of ice time tonight as well. 18:48 on ice, led all forwards, I believe, in ice time there for Timmy Stutzla. So he's getting the vote of confidence from Jacques Martin as well, and he was a +2 out there. Just a 1 shot on goal, and that's all he needed to get his goal there, and a hit there as well for Timmy. I thought he was going again tonight. He's been skating really well lately. He's making good plays out there. Little bit less of it's more of a few and far between thing with the giveaways with him the last couple games. So I'll go with Timmy for my Sun Central standout tonight. He's playing well.
Love it. Yep. Tim Stutzla has been on fire recently, so that's another great Sun Central standout, Martian. For my second guy, again, I'm going to do it. We've been hard on Corpy a lot. He was good tonight, so we got to give him his credit. As Kieran says here, #goalie friendly show. My second Sen Central standout is going to be Eunice Corpusalo. I already talked about Martian, that massive save that he had in the first period where he stops Carrick and then stops Connor Brown as well.
2 in a row. Yeah.
That might be his best save all season,
Oh,
honestly.
yeah.
It was a great one. And it was flashes of brilliance like that from Corpusalo is so annoying because it has Sens fans being like, he is able to do it if he could just get more consistent and stop those squeaky little goals from happening every single game. There's a like the tools are there for him to be a good goalie, and obviously that's what Pierre Dorion and the staff saw in him when they signed him to that massive 5-year deal. That is going to be interesting to see how the new regime takes that moving forward. But Eunice Corpusalo, when you're up against guys like Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, sure. Zach Hyman gets the better of him here, but when you save 33 of 36 shots, that's a great night for Anton Corpusalo Eunice Corpusalo, a .917 save percentage. So he's 3-1 in his last 4 games in March, and we were talking about it. Very rare for goalies to play back-to-back games here. That was the first time since 2021 that Corpusalo has done that, but he looked good tonight and looked no worse for wear here.
Yeah, and also very rare, Pillsy, that the Sens end up giving up a goal in the first, I think it was the 4th or 3rd shot of the game in this one here, and coming back and getting the W. So they were able to complete the victory here, even after that early fault there. And not saying that goal was Corpusalo's fault either. It was a bit of a deflection off a skate in front with a lot of traffic there as well when Adam Henrique ended up getting that first goal. So, yeah, Corpusalo, man, he's of course, he's going to make this a difficult decision for the management in the offseason where, what are you going to do with this guy if he has this great stretch going down to the end of the season here and all of a sudden he looks like he's settling in and getting comfortable, then he's going to make you think about about possibly not buying him out or trying to trade that deal. So, yeah, I like his style too, Pillsy. Like he does have those big saves with his flexibility and his athleticism, and then but yeah, those early goals and those occasional stinkers are the thing that's really probably driving fans nuts, and just I would say the opposite of winning games for the team. He's losing games for them sometimes. So hopefully he can keep it going, but I don't know what that's going to do for his future in Ottawa either way.
Yeah, I feel like even if he keeps it going, it might be too little too late here. Although who knows if management kind of sees the light, or if they're like, we got to figure this out a different alternative way here in the crease. It's going to be an interesting offseason for the Ottawa Senators, to say the least, but we're still in this season. It may seem like, sure, the Sens are out of it here, but with 12 games left here, I believe, after this one, the Ottawa Senators, they're going to have to find ways to keep these moral victories going and finding ways to stay in the game here. And they did just that tonight with great performances from Drake Batherson, Tim Stützle, Jonas Corpusalo, and Jacob Chychrun. A lot of people in the chat here. So if you guys have quick questions for Martian and I, we got a little more time left to kill here. But the Ottawa Senators finished the weekend with back-to-back wins, and I'm just pulling up their schedule here. They've got an interesting week ahead on the road in Buffalo, then at home, Chicago. Chicago always gives them fits. And then in Winnipeg on Saturday. I'm flying to Winnipeg on Saturday. Ross and I will have boots on the ground, so we'll see if that can help the Ottawa Senators get the dub there. And then we're continuing the road trip to Minnesota as well, so Ross and I will be boots on the ground for those games. Martian, what are you looking for in the rest of these 12 games here from the Ottawa Senators?
Well, I don't want them to win too much, Pillsy.
Yeah, I feel you.
You know, where they are in the standings right now is kind of, that'll be fine. Just don't end up winning yourself into like a position where all of a sudden you've moved yourself out of a different tier in the draft. But one more thing I will say about tonight, though, Pillsy, too, is it was a good crowd in there tonight in the CTC. So
a lot of Oilers fans, though.
Yeah,
they even
sure.
had a "Let's Go Oilers" chant going late in the game.
Yeah, well, that's one thing, but I'm just saying, when you got a full barn, it's good for the city and good for the fans to be able to see the Sens win at home. So to answer both questions there, I'd say I hope they win at home and then they lose on the road, and that'll work for me. Sorry, even though you and Ross are going to be in the building. I know, and you guys have a very good record that's going to be on the line here late in the season with you two guys being boots on the ground together. I know it doesn't seem like you guys
12
lose
0
many
and 1.
games. I think you've only lost that one game, so hopefully that reputation doesn't get tarnished here, Pilsy. But I guess I would just say hopefully the fans when the fans show up, I hope they put up a good fight. But other than that, it's not the end of the world if they end up losing a bunch of games. We're just kind of going through the motions here to end the year.
Yeah, this is the weird part of each Sens season where you're out of it, but then there's some fun games and some big highlights, and you're like, oh yeah, like Sens hockey, let's go. And I know it, Martian. I feel like you know it, and I feel like all 240 people in the chat right now know it deep down. Sure, we're slugging through these games, and it can be tough sometimes, but when the playoffs die down a little, maybe it's the conference finals, the teams you like aren't still in it or what have you. We're going to be sitting there being like, man, I would kill for an Ottawa Senators versus New Jersey Devils game this weekend or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Just to keep the juices flowing. So we gotta enjoy these while we have them, even if they are meaningless.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we do, Pilsy. It's easy for you and I to keep things positive as possible here.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, good times are flowing. I'm down in Florida. Margaritas were going earlier this afternoon.
Nice.
I mean, I spent all day by the pool out in the sun. It was great. So it's tough to put me in a bad mood, even if even if the Sens lost tonight. I think I'd still be in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, exactly. We're vibing here on the
Vibing.
Vibecast. Unfortunately, though, Martian, I know we can kind of spin zone Ottawa Senators games however we want. If they lose, we're like, cool, tanking. They lost. If they win, we're like, hey, we'll take a win here. However, the Belleville Senators are not in that scenario as they're fighting to stay alive in the playoff push. And they dropped two big games this weekend, 3-2 to the Laval Rocket. You know how important those division games are. And then 3-1 to the Hartford Wolfpack today. So they're going to have to get things back on track. They have an opportunity next weekend, Friday and Saturday, both against the Laval Rocket in Laval. So we hope they do well there. I bet they're missing Angus Crookshank, eh? Like he's looked good for the Sens, but they're missing him.
I was just about to say that, Pilsy. It's almost like you want to send him back down there and just call up somebody who's not making a big difference offensively for that team down below. Yeah, because honestly, yeah, he's obviously one of their best players, and he was the all-star for the Belleville team. So you got to balance giving him his NHL experience that he deserves and has earned, and he can help this team too up on the big club. But at the end of the day, it's probably more valuable for this team this Belleville team to make the playoffs and give those younger guys some good playoff AHL experience. Hopefully, they can go on a little run if they sneak in, but. They're definitely fighting tooth and nail right now with those teams to try to get in there. It's never easy, but hopefully they can do it here.
Yeah, because Martian, we already said if Belleville makes the playoffs, you and I are going to go to a playoff game. And right now they are on the outside looking in sixth place in the North Division, 2 points back from Laval. So you know how important those 2 points would have been. But the Ottawa Senators get 2 points in tonight's 5-3 win over the Edmonton Oilers. It's Dr. Chow night as he is the third member of the Ring of Honor. So you love to see them get a win on big nights like that. Thank you, everyone, for joining us in the Postcast. The Vibecast was buzzing, one of our bigger postcasts in a while. Sens fans coming out for the wins. You love to see that. 245 people in the chat here. So thank you, everyone, for joining us here on the Locked On Senators podcast. This has been another edition of the Postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast. And of course, you guys know it's also presented by the Glebe Central Pub. For myself, Brandon Piller, for Lalim's Martian, thank you for tuning in. Get some Go Sens Go in the chat. Let's keep the Go Sens Goes going. The Vibecast is here. We will have another episode of the Locked On Senators podcast for you tomorrow. Ross will be back on the stream so you guys can hear his takes about the weekends as he missed the postcast, and you can hear about his experience at Mullet Arena. All right, guys, have a good night. Go Sens Go, and it's the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.